Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Wings Podcast. This is your host, Milinda Agnihotri. On today's show, we will meet Shweta Mulekar, a brand and visual communication designer who has worked with many FMCG, fashion, and women centered brands like the Bombay Sweet Shop, Stranger and Sons Gin, the Jodi Life, Safecup, to name a few. She considers herself to be a curious, passionate, and a creative person deeply interested in problem solving for a social cause. After recently completing a master's in business design from Elisava, a leading school of design established in the heart of Barcelona, Spain, Shweta has discovered new directions for her career and overall life purpose, which is to become a social entrepreneur. Welcome, Shweta, to this episode of Wings Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Shweta, I was looking at your website that you have created, which is shwetamulekar.com. And the first screen has a beautiful text written there, and I'm going to read that verbatim. And it goes, I enjoy building experiences with an intention of problem solving while using storytelling, emotions, and memories to create stronger connections.
Mhm.
A lot is packed in these words. Would you mind unpacking this for us?
Sure. I think this kind of summarizes my journey as a visual communication designer or a brand designer, because this is what I understand about how to design for brands. Earlier, before I even gained any experience or I studied it, I thought brand designing is just the skill. Like you make the logo, you think about the color palette, and all these like visual elements. But this is like just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much that goes under it, which is storytelling, connecting with your audience through emotions or their memories. And in the end, you're solving a problem. Like a designer is not an artist. A designer is not just someone who draws. Like I know so many designers who don't know how to draw, but they are problem solvers. Whether it's a fashion designer, whether it's a product designer, whether it's a graphic designer, we are all problem solvers, just doing it on different mediums. So I thought that was a really good way of describing exactly what I do, because most people have that question, that what do you do? What do you exactly do? Are you in an ad agency? These are the words that usually come up when they hear what I do. So yeah, that's how I used to like describe my work and myself.
So, Shweta, storytelling, emotions, creating stronger connections. I guess are very obvious when you are talking of a work in the space of brand and visual communication. But
Hmm.
you use the word memories. Uh,
Hmm.
why is it so important or valuable in the craft that you are pursuing?
So that is my personal inclination, I can say. Like I
Mhm.
like to work with things where it really connects to someone on a very deeper level. I know that every brand obviously cannot do that, because every
Mhm.
brand's purpose is very different, their audience is very different. But I think that's my personal liking and inclination, which is to connect with someone at the core. Because I know when I connect with them at some core level, they will never turn away or they will never leave that brand. Like they are hooked forever. Because memories are, I think, they play such a strong role in our life, right? I mean, we always turn back to them during our hard times. We always turn back to them when we are celebrating something. So memories are a part and parcel of our life, regardless of our background, where we live, where we come from, our age. So it's universal. So that is something that I really like to use in my work wherever possible.
On your website, you have also beautifully captured some of the work that you have done for some of your clients. And I was, uh, what shall I say? I was deeply touched with
Mhm.
this assignment you had with a client called Bombay Sweet Shop, because
Mhm.
what the brief you have written on your website with respect to this client was to revive and reinvent the delight of consuming Indian mithai and the joy of
Mhm.
gifting in India by tapping into nostalgia and old-fashioned sweetness. So we've
Yes.
just coming out of Diwali celebration, which I think we Indians celebrated in the traditional way, coming together
Yeah.
after a good 2 years of COVID. So it would be interesting to hear from you the story of Bombay Sweet Shop and the work that you did for them.
So I worked on Bombay Sweet Shop when I was working in this agency called Please See Advertising in
Hmm.
Mumbai.
Okay.
And obviously, it was a team project. So there were a couple of people on the team. I was the designer, and I had a creative director who was with whom I was like doing this project. This project actually came to us because we were working with the client originally. So the client is Hunger Inc. They own two restaurants in Bombay already, the Bombay Canteen and O Pedro. So I was originally the designer on Bombay Canteen also, and that was a great experience in itself. And I think from there they came back to us when they were starting this new business of the Bombay Sweet Shop. So it was like a familiar territory because we knew the client, we were really comfortable with them, the team was also similar, so that was great. But this was the longest and the most like the biggest learning curve of my life at that stage, at least, because I think I spent over a year on this project, and I have never spent that long on any project. So
Hmm.
it was literally like my baby. Like every day I would wake up and just think about this, just deep dive even more into the nitty gritties, understanding what mithai means to us as Indians, because we take our mithai very seriously.
Of
Every
course.
family has that one specific shop that they will go to. They will not change that shop unless they have really tasted it and tried it, and we're very serious about it. So it was not just a casual mithai shop branding project. It really had to make sense. It really had to find its niche and fit in a otherwise overly crowded market of mithai stores, because we also have Haldiram and we also have like local mithai shops which people always go to. So the idea was, how do we reinvent this and how do we make it more relevant to today's generation? Because if you look at my generation, if they want something sweet, they will maybe go to an ice cream shop or a gelato shop or have a creme brulee over like gulab jamun or jalebi.
Hmm. Hmm.
So how do you kind of remind them of that old fashioned sweetness and kind of bring back that delight of Indian mithai, so that they also sort of find it relevant enough in like today's modern world. So my journey actually, like the designing part, began much later. We started with such heavy research, like we even had so many walkthroughs in Bombay itself. Like we had a special walkthrough in Lalbagh, in CST, in so many parts of South Bombay, just to understand what old Bombay is, or what are the stories of old Bombay. How is Art Deco really flourished in Bombay? What it means what it means to have it on signages on buildings, and what does that look like? And just literally time traveling. So that heavy research really showed me how like branding is not just about the logo and like the color palette and the patterns that you make. There's so much thought that goes behind making something click and making something work. So that research was really enjoyable for me. And from there, we also did a lot of research with like Parsi Dairy Farm. We went to their stores, we went to local mithai shops, we saw how they are displayed. Like these are the things we see every day. But now I was
Correct.
seeing it through the lens of research. So it was very different to see it like that. And from there, we like ideated a lot as a team. Like I wish I could show you the photos. I mean, some of them are there on my website. So much ideation, so much brainstorming, trial and errors, And you really need to be so patient with a project like this.
You know,
So
we live in a world of experiences, more
yeah.
so today than in the past. Of course, as human race, we have always craved for experiences because that's what gives us memory, and memories are, I guess, who we are and who we become and who we relate to. But
Mm-hmm.
with technology and with so much of work that has gone into this art and science of experience design. On this Bombay Sweet Shop, there are these on your website. There are multiple pictures of this store, but then there are two pictures which kind of are very beautiful to look at and also very interesting to think through. Is Here is a mithai shop called
Mm-hmm.
Bombay Sweet Store, which has tables and chairs to sit down and probably eat the mithai or the namkeen there, which is unlike any sweet shop. And two, there
Yeah.
is, like a typical restaurant where behind big glass you can see the naan or the rumali roti or the kitchen view. Here also in
Yeah.
the store, it seems that behind the glass one can see the entire process of mithai making. So was this also a part of
Yes.
the work that you guys did?
Absolutely. Like you got that like head on, because this is exactly what we wanted to achieve, which was make you really see the process of mithai. Like it's almost like you enter the chocolate factory in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and now you can see like all the processes that go behind this beautiful bar of chocolate. It was literally, kind of taking inspiration from that experience, but through the lens of mithai, because we've always gone to candy stores and we've seen this movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but we've never
Correct.
seen it from the Indian lens. We've
Correct.
always seen mithai just in a box or the halwai. We've never associated it like a mithai factory, or how these little like laddus might be like going on the counter, how they are packed, how they are cut, and that whole process. So experience was a big part of our entire branding project, because at every level we have tried to elevate that experience by paying so much attention to detail. Like even on the window we have a signage written "Hello from the Halwai side." So that is the Halwai side, you are on this side, and there's something going on inside, that like mystery and that curiosity is definitely evoked. Or we have small gift cards, or there's some lines written on the packaging itself, like when you open the box, in the inside of the flap there's a line written. So our our objective was to add little nuggets of delight, little parts and places where you can add more delight to the overall experience of eating mithai. So it was really an experience design project than a brand design project.
Shweta, one of the things that I always feel that this word design somehow has a romantic tone to it, as if there is something esoteric involved, something which is otherworldly. Ki
Mhm.
you are in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of an experience where there's a lot of imagination and all that thing that happens. Uh, so in this project that you did at Bombay Sweet Shop, or other projects that you have done with other brands like the Jodi Life, or Stranger and Sons Gin, or Safecup, how much of a brand communicator's work, in your view, is inspiration, and how much of it is perspiration?
So, firstly, I would like to just say that every brand doesn't allow you to have so much fun. And I mean, that's good and bad, because I mean, every brand is not so imaginative and so playful, and leaving so much scope for the designer to explore. So
Mhm.
some brands are very functional because that's the need. I mean, I always believe that a brand is designed from the need and the purpose. Now,
Mhm.
since this is a mithai store, you definitely have to add some level of fun and explorative qualities, and that sort of adventure. But if it's say like a brand like Safecup, which is a very serious and a functional brand, they are selling menstrual cups. They are trying to make like women's, generate awareness about women's health. So you can't really be on an adventurous trip over there. So it's a very different perspective. And when you go into that perspective, your brain also has to shift. Your brain also has to start thinking like that. So I think a huge part of the brand designers job is definitely to, seek inspiration from all around us, really be observant, be curious, and keep your eyes, ears, all senses open. But also it is to this switch that I'm saying. And your priority always needs to be, what does the brand need? It's not what you want to do for the brand, but what does the brand need? And that is, I think, a very tough job that I've learned over the years, is to how to kind of separate myself from my designs. My designs are not my designs. They are designs for the brand. So I have to always create that sort of distance from them, and also see them very objectively, not make them my own. But also I need to many times be so involved in them that I need to make them my own. It's literally a balance that I need to strike at every point.
Yeah, I guess, it does happen. For example, any creative process at the end of the day, I personally believe has to go hand in hand with the pragmatism involved, which is,
Yeah.
living within the boundaries. Like, for example, I mean, the typical analogy that I kind of refer to many times is like
Hmm.
of a painter. Like, for example, before the painter begins his or her work, the first thing he or she does is takes a canvas. Now,
Hmm.
the canvas essentially could be made of any material, doesn't matter. But for me, what canvas represents is boundaries. And the
Right.
painter then says, it is within these boundaries I'm going to have my play.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
beautifully put.
yeah, so I guess it's kind of holding to opposite polarities in that sense, but the polarities are not opposite. It's only in the mind, because it's like two ends of one stick. I think, isn't it? Where on one side,
Yeah. Yeah.
one end of the stick is the entire free creative process, and I guess on the other end of the stick is the boundary driven pragmatism, which kind of have to
Yeah.
be hand in hand, isn't it?
Perfectly put. Yeah, it's exactly that. And I think the biggest learning over the years has been to know when to use which side of the stick. you know at which side do you like switch off to the other one, where do you stop? I think that's like more than my actual skills, that's my biggest like learning.
And how much of all this, you kind of give a credit to or derive from the masters that you did at this amazing school called Elisava in Barcelona? And I was also looking up as a preparation for this conversation about what is Elisava,
Mhm.
its history, etc., etc. And you know, this is so beautiful. It says established in 1961, it is the first design school launched in Spain. The school was founded thanks to the efforts of a group of professionals and cultural intellectuals, which is theorists, architects, and designers concerned about teaching of design and committed to social and cultural modernization. So,
Yes.
how about walking back the memory lane in trying to relive your stay in Barcelona and this amazing school called Elisava? What does it mean to you? What sort of experiences has it left you with, in addition to the formal education?
Definitely would love to talk about it. It's actually very fresh in my memory right now, because it's just been around like less than 3 months since I've come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still sort of reminiscing my last year and remembering it very fondly. I think to just like summarize it, I would say it was the most life changing year of my life. I mean, I never thought I knew that masters when you do masters, especially outside your country, it's going to be a lot of new experiences. It's going to teach you a lot. It's going to be very tough. It's going to be very enriching. I knew all of it because a lot of people around me have gone out and shared their own experiences, but I never thought it would be this intensely packed with so much of new learnings, so many emotions. Like, it was overwhelming, but in a very good way. So I did my master's in business design, or the course is called design management. So this course was surrounding like topics of entrepreneurship, how creativity and business can kind of merge and lead to innovation or lead to even better results. So it was sort of at the cross point of creativity and like business management. So it was not a hardcore MBA program and it was not a design program. So I think that was the best combination for me, because after doing like graphic design or communication design for like over 5 years, I knew that I don't want to be a graphic designer my whole life, but I definitely want to use these skills to do something more impactful and bigger, because these skills are definitely something that will take me ahead. So I wanted to expand my boundaries and look at how businesses work, how strategy in a business works, how entrepreneurs really start businesses. So that was my interest, because I want to start something on my own eventually. So apart from my formal education in this area, my biggest like gain from this experience was my cohort. We were a group of 12 people from literally all over the world. So there was one guy from California, Mexico, Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil, Lebanon, Israel, and a few locals from Spain, and me from India. So literally, in terms of religion, in terms of geography, language, there was like maximum diversity. And I'm a very, very big fan of diversity in every aspect of my life. Like, I absolutely thrive on diversity. So that was, I think, my biggest gain, because I did not just grow professionally and obviously make a lot of contacts and learned a whole new process of like business design management, but I learned so much personally. Like, I completely grew as a person living in this different country, Spain, where I didn't even know how to speak Spanish, because I didn't get the chance to learn, since the process of going was a pretty last moment decision. So I literally didn't know the language they spoke. Obviously, I fell sick a lot of times. There were a lot of hard moments, finding a house, any new city problems is everything that I faced just in a country where nobody speaks the language I do. So it was very, very, very hard, but it was very, very, very worth it also. And I'm using very, very extra times just to emphasize on how important it was for me.
So this batch of 12, which you said came from different countries, what sort of diversity that you experienced of them or from them? And I would like to believe, Shweta, that there would also be something which could be common to all these people coming from different parts of the world.
Oh, yes. Like, my biggest observation after this 1 year of spending so much time with this diverse group of people is that at the end, we are all the same. Even if there's a girl from Argentina who is from the other side of the globe, I found so many similarities with her than what I have probably found with my own friends in India. So this myth about that you will only get along with people from your culture, you will only get along with people who speak your tongue, is truly a myth. Because if your mind is open, if you're courageous enough to take the first step and create a new connection, you can find a connection anywhere. You can literally bond with anyone from anywhere, like no matter their background. So all of them were even from different professional backgrounds. One was from a psychology background, one was from a project management, economics background. So I think this was also the first time that I was surrounded by so many people who are not designers or
Mhm.
like communication designers. And
Mhm.
that was so beautiful. Like I was so happy to just get out of my bubble, just see a different world and know that there is so much more than what I know sitting in Pune in my chair from my house. That was truly enriching for me.
And all this fun, Shweta, was happening at a place called La Rambla in Barcelona. And the reason I say this in the way I have said it is because, uh, and I've personally experienced that street called La Rambla, which is a place where everything is happening all the time throughout the day, 24 by 7. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure you and your group of 12 must have had some fun moments on that street or in some of the bars or cafes there.
Definitely. Like Barcelona as a city is the most energetic city that I have seen, maybe after Bombay. Or the energy is very different. I mean, it's not even comparable to Bombay.
Sure.
But the La Rambla literally never sleeps. I used to actually live off La Rambla. So never did I feel like scared to go out of the house even at 3 o'clock in the morning if I had to. It was always had people. And my college was also on La Rambla. So that was our literally like a street to go home or come to college on. So we have had a lot of walks there. We've had a lot of small memories and moments there. But I think our larger moments were all the trips we took all over Europe. So, as a part of my course, we also had two field trips.
Mm-hmm.
So, they took us to Berlin and Copenhagen
Mm-hmm.
as a part of our course to collaborate with another college called Chaos Pilot. It's a college based in Copenhagen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also a very unique concept and a college. So the trips over there were also extremely life changing. So not only we bonded with each other because we spent so much time with each other, like we were all we had, but we also learned from a completely new group of people who were from the Scandinavia. And me, a girl from India, to imagine meeting, talking, bonding with people from Copenhagen was, I never thought I would ever do that. Like I thought, sure, I'll go travel there and I'll see it or whatever sometime in life. But I never thought I would actually bond, share a meal, walk streets with people in Copenhagen. I mean, it's a completely different world. So I think these little trips that we did together were also a huge bonding experience for us because this group of people, they were so accommodating, so open minded, so curious. They wanted to celebrate Diwali with me, they wanted to
Mm-hmm.
celebrate Holi with me. Like I
Wow.
never celebrate Holi myself, but they're like,
Okay.
no, please get the colors, please, we want to celebrate this, please do it with us. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
nobody's ever
man.
forced me to like play Holi, but sure, I'll do it for you guys. And they love gulab jamun. I somehow managed to find gulab jamun in Barcelona,
Okay.
and they loved everything I exposed them to. They were so open to trying anything that I wanted to show them.
Wow.
And that was so comforting, especially coming from a South Asian brown country where we have a history of being sort of looked down upon, especially by the Western world for many reasons. It was so welcoming and so comforting to see that it's actually not there. It's that sort of disparity is not there amongst people. Everyone sees everyone as an equal, and everyone is very curious about each other's culture.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Shweta, you would have heard about T.S. Eliot, a
Mm-hmm.
famous 20th century poet and playwright. And he's left behind
Mm-hmm.
a huge body of work in terms of his poems, essays, and even playwriting, etc. And
Yes.
I have had the opportunity to study Eliot in my school days as a part of my English literature, but subsequently I've been fond of some of his poems, and at least some of them have become a part of my book of quotes. And
Oh, nice.
and let me kind of read out this one particular quote, which has meant a lot to me over my life, and
Mm-hmm.
it has had a different meaning to me at different points in my life. Even now as we speak,
Mm-hmm.
these words, though they are the same, they kind of give me a different insight. So let me kind of read out this to you. And
Sure.
the line goes, which is what Mr. Eliot says, is we shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time.
Yeah.
So looks like for you, you went on this beautiful journey of your masters in Barcelona, met and made some amazing friends from different parts of the world, and traveled to some parts of Europe, in an amazing place called Copenhagen in Denmark, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and came back to India. So, after this exploration, if I were to draw on T.S. Eliot's words, after this European expedition and exploration, after you came back to India, what of India did you rediscover for yourself?
I think I have always felt really close to our culture, our history, the people, and everything that our country has sort of gone through and stands for. But I've never been able to own it, really stand by it and really say that, yes, I want to go back to my country and I want to do this, or I feel so and so about my country. Because we are conditioned so much, we see so much in the news, and how much the quality of life is better outside, and so many such things, that it tends to blur your opinions, your true opinions. But after I went outside, although I was so happy in Spain, I honestly would love to go back and stay there. But I knew at that moment that, I mean, I rediscovered my true love for my country at that moment. Because in Spain I learned to own it. You know how you say, own yourself, or own what you truly feel. And due to like my cohort and the people I was around, this quality was really awakened to really stand true to what I feel. And hence I came back to my country, to many people's surprise, because I think almost every person has asked me, why haven't I tried to stay back in Spain? Why haven't I tried to get a job there? I'm like, I can and I could have if I tried, but I really don't want to. I really have different intentions in my life, and my intentions can only be fulfilled in my country. So I very happily came back to India, and the thing that pulled me here is my sort of deep passion for Indian art and handicraft. I know it's really specific to say right now, but it's very closely related to what I do. I mean, I'm a designer. I'm always connected with any artistic, any creative process. So I have always been very connected to our Indian art, handicraft, textile industry, which has been my passion. But I never thought that that passion can also turn into something. I always thought, yes, that's something I absolutely love, and it's a part of like my living and value system. But what do I do about it? So this was one side of my mind, and the other side was, which always wanted to do something in the social design space. So social design is where you design for a social cause, any social cause. And even when I was choosing to do my master's program, that was one of the options where I wanted to do my master's in social design. but somehow that didn't go through. So I realized that, okay, these are two parts of my mind. Why am I not just combining them? Because the textile, handicraft, and art industry in India really, really does need a lot of help. And if I feel so passionately about it, I know I'm going to work 10 times harder than what I would have done as a brand designer or any other job. So that's what really pulled me back. And after doing the entrepreneurship course, my purpose now is to revive our traditional, like, techniques, our craft, our art, which is dye. Like every passing day, there's some age old craft that is not continued just in the pursuit of bigger jobs in cities. It's a family old tradition to say do bandhani or do a particular kind of weaving, but the next generation doesn't want to take it up because they don't see the potential in it. And since I have worked with brands, since I know how to help brands sell or make new brands, I know this is exactly where I want to use my skill. And this is exactly where I want to help those people who are artists yet insanely poor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what pulled me back to India and wanting to work here. Although I haven't, I mean, it's just been 3 months since I've come back. I haven't directly worked with an artisan yet, but I'm in the process of working with an organization called the Registry of Saris. And they are an organization that work with historical textiles. So they have spent 5 years collecting textiles from all over the country, like right from Bengal to Punjab to the Paithan in Maharashtra, like to the Venkatgiri in the south, everywhere. And they are exhibiting 108 textiles through 9 stories. So all of these textiles are handloom and hand spun. So again, they're reviving a very traditional craft of hand weaving textiles. And I'm a part of this project as their graphic designer. So this was my definitely my first step towards my larger goal of reviving Indian craft.
You know, Shweta, they say that when the invisible becomes visible,
Mhm.
when the unarticulated gets articulated,
Mhm.
there are two things that happen. You
Mhm.
own what is disowned and you act out what is withheld.
Yeah.
What I hear from you just now is this rediscovery of Indian art craft that you are engaged in right now is
Mhm.
making a lot of invisible stuff visible to you, giving
Yeah.
you a sense of articulation of your own way forward. I would, if I could say that, and
Yeah.
it seems that it is beckoning you and inviting you to do something about it.
Definitely. Like many times we all have like many gut feelings, and we just think, we just ignore them or we just cover them. And I think after this last year, what I have tried to do is just stare at those gut feelings, really acknowledge their presence in my mind, really trace all those small moments in my life that I have probably ignored or just passed off as like a coincidence or just my passion, and take them very seriously. uh, because I think that's where my true joy lies. And the fact that I even chose design in the first place is because I wanted to do something that gives me joy. Every morning when I wake up, I want to be excited about getting up and doing work. I don't want to be dreading going to work. And that's my motive behind anything I do. And I know helping artists in my country will give me most joy.
So beautifully said, Shweta, and I'm really proud to hear what you've just said, because you say that there are ideas, there are opportunities, there is will to do something, and then doing it is a very different piece of work, and you are
Yeah.
actually jumping into the well, if I can use that phrase. And I
Yes.
think this work that you're doing with the registry of saris, uh,
Mhm.
I I'm somehow, getting an instinctive feeling that it's the beginning of something very beautiful for you, something which is very
Yes.
meaningful and purposeful, because you will be deploying a lot of your knowledge, art, craft, and experiences in the service of rejuvenating the age old Indian craft. Uh, and
Yes.
I'm so happy to hear this from you. Uh, you know, on this note, let me then briefly ask you that if maybe a year or two down the line, if you see yourself doing X, Y, Z, which makes you extremely proud of yourself, what would
Mhm.
that X, Y, Z be?
I think that XYZ will be when someone from a village in Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, I don't know, some unknown village in Rajasthan or Uttar Pradesh is selling their craft to someone in France or I don't know, somewhere across the globe, where they get that platform, they get that recognition for the value that they bring to the table. And that will be, I think, my dream. When maybe a Dior show has a backdrop of the Katha done in Gujarat. I don't know, something like that. I think that will be my dream.
So, looks like the torch has been lit for you. And
Definitely.
I am sure the torch will give you the light and show you the way forward. And with the spirit of curiosity and wonder and adventure, I'm sure you will do something great down the line. And I'm sure I will get to hear from you, a couple of months down the line, or maybe a year or two down the line, some of the amazing contributions that you have done in this space, your XYZ, as you said. So,
Yes.
I hate to bring a conversation like this to an end, to be very, very honest. It gives me joy to have this great conversation, but it also leaves me with a sense of sadness that it has to be brought to an end, because we are in a podcast format which has a time boundary. So as we end this conversation, let me ask you, what are you thinking? What are you feeling right now?
I think I'm feeling very, again, while talking to you, also, I re-articulate and rediscover so many of my own thoughts. So I think that was really even refreshing and almost motivating for me right now, because there are so many thoughts that are in your mind, but when they actually come out of your mouth and are in the air, they become real. So thank you for even chatting with me about this, because so many things become clear in my own head when I share them with someone else. And I'm feeling very motivated right now. So thank you so much for this experience.
And I want to thank you for kind of leaving me with a lot of your energies, which motivates me and Asha to keep this Wings podcast platform alive and ticking. And I'm so happy that you have joined a, a great cohort of guests on the Wings podcast who are living out their dreams. So thank you very much. It's
Definitely.
been a great joy to have this conversation. You have
Same
a
here.
great life ahead, and good luck and take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye
Good day.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for your time today, my dear listeners. This is your host, Milind Agnihotri, signing off. Goodbye, take care, and stay safe. This podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as a piece of any professional advice. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of its guest. Creators of this podcast expressly disclaim any and all liability or responsibility for any direct or indirect, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of this podcast. For feedback and suggestions, please write to wingsindia75 at gmail.com. Thank you.